Hey guys, Preacher 357 here. Back out here on the range with the Smith and Wesson CSX, doing a follow-up video. In the first video, there were some things I really liked about this gun, and then there were some things I didn't like as well about the gun. There were some issues that not just me, but a lot of different reviewers have had. The false reset, the problem with the magazines being hard to load, and the fact that they would not load into the gun when the slide was closed. You just can't even force them in there, they're so tight. And one time it was the magazines were loaded so tightly with all the rounds in them that when I tried to put the slide home to charge the first round out of the magazine, it hung up and I had to hit the back of the slide because the magazines have so much tension to them. It seems like that has worked itself out a little bit. The 12 round magazine now especially seems to load fine with 12 rounds. I don't have that much issue with it. Still can't just push it into the bottom of the magazine with it fully at the bottom of the mag well when the gun is closed, like you can with some guns, like you should be able to with most guns. But the magazine at least loads easier now. The 10 rounds still very difficult to load. You have to have a mag loader to get that 10th round in. So it's one of those things, if you buy this gun and your magazines are as hard to load as the ones I've got here, it may be that you just have to download them. Instead of a 10 round magazine, a 12 round magazine, you may just have to go with a 9 and 11. Or, you know, this 12 round seems to work okay, so you can go with 12 with it. But just be aware of that. If your magazines are as hard to load as the ones I've got, it might be better to do that because all of that tension in there could possibly cause malfunctions. You know, obviously you want to shoot your gun and see, and if you feel comfortable that even with all that tension in there, that it's going to perform properly, you know, do as you will. But anyway, that's something that's a little bit troublesome. I still have the trigger reset issue with this gun. After I posted my video, one of my viewers that I cannot remember the screen name now, unfortunately, I'll post it up there. We had a conversation about it, and he took I think some 600 grit sandpaper and did a little bit of polishing to that hook that goes into the plunger for the firing pin block, where we think that false reset was coming from, and he polished all that up and polished that plunger and made everything really nice and smooth, and he said that fixed the problem. And I noticed some other reviewers as well. I believe Military Arms Channel, Tim at the Military Arms Channel, said after about 500 rounds that false reset got better for him, so it's smoothing up with use. So it may be one of those things, you put enough rounds through it, it stops doing that. But I've had that issue even today, where I've had several rounds that, you know, I went to fire and nothing happened because I didn't reset the trigger fully. So even knowing it does it, I'm still catching myself doing it. So, you know, that's pretty much a deal breaker for me. I mean, I guess I could get some sandpaper out and get the Dremel or whatever else and start trying to fix what the design problem that they have with this. But, you know, and I love Smith and Wesson, so I hate to say anything bad about anything they put out. But, you know, they should have rectified that ahead of time. You know, that's something that should have been fixed right off the bat. And I'm not sure how they didn't know that was an issue if you've test fired it or had any number of people test firing it. And maybe they'll come out with a performance edition that fixes all those issues for extra money. I don't know if that's something people would be interested in or not. But I guess we'll have to see if this gun sells on its own in the regular model before we even see about them putting out some sort of you know, performance center model where they do some work to it. But one thing I did notice with this gun is I had trouble shooting. I had trouble shooting it accurately, and that's at distance. I was having trouble with that. At self-defense distances, what you would normally consider self-defense distances, 7 yards and in, you know, which is what the FBI says, I guess. Anyway, you know, you're probably fine. You know, I did some testing today off of arrest just to see what kind of accuracy I was getting. And, you know, at 7 yards, you know, it was putting it in the middle ring. It wasn't bullseyes, but it was decent enough for, you know, self-defense work. But you're not going to be winning any bullseye competitions with it at all, but that's not what this gun is designed for. So I may be asking a little bit more of it than I should for what the gun is. And that was something else that I noticed in the first video that I did when I took it inside and looked at it, that it didn't really cross my mind that was part of the problem. Because one thing I noticed was the SIG P365, which has become one of my carry guns. I'm gonna go ahead and empty that one out. The SIG P365, I shoot better. I seem to be more accurate with this gun, even though they look like they're about the same size. But one thing I noticed was the slide on the CSX is not as long as the slide on the P365. And I said, well, that's no big deal. That's just because of the way it operates, because it has an external hammer, whereas this has, that internal striker, and that's the only real big difference between them there. But I didn't think about the fact that the sights are on the slide. So when you look at this gun up next to the 365, you can see you've got a longer sight radius with the 365. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're dealing with guns this small already, any difference in sight radius is a big difference, because these are basically the same length barrel, I think 3.1 inches, something like that. But you're getting a lot less sight radius there out of the CSX compared to the 365, and I think that probably has something to do with the accuracy as well. And one other thing I did by comparison, and I'll pull out Reggie here, the LCP2, and I'll go ahead and clear him too because he's hot as well. Is that even though the CSX is considerably larger than the LCP2, you can see there length of the grips and all of that. But if you look at the sight radius, the length of the slide, there's not much difference there. So this is a gun that feels good in the hand, but sight radius wise, it's practically a tiny subcompact 380, and that explains a lot, right? So maybe that's why I'm having trouble shooting it accurately. Now, some of these other guys didn't, and maybe they're just better with these tiny guns than I am. That's entirely possible. Some of these guys probably have a lot more rounds down range than I do, though I don't have a small amount down. I shoot quite a bit, but some of these guys have been shooting a lot for a long time. So, maybe they're just better shots, and that's why they're able to shoot well with such a short sight radius. But I struggle with it. And but like I said, at 7 yards, if you're talking about self-defense distances, it'll do the job. And so for a carry gun, it's probably good enough. But I like my carry guns even to be range guns. I like to come out here and plink with them and shoot plates at 20 yards. And if I just get frustrated doing that, it's not very fun for me. So I guess I expect more of my carry guns than I should. But it just is what it is. The other thing is, obviously, it's a different manual of arms than most of what I carry. Most of what I carry is either a striker fired gun without a safety, or it's a revolver, which obviously, mostly double action revolvers, not single action. I don't know very many people that carry single action revolvers, but a double action revolver has no safety either. So, pretty much everything I carry is pull and shoot. I do have a 1911 concealed carry officer Colt that I carry on occasions. But it's not something I like to switch up to very often. It's just not something I use a lot. And though I'm familiar with the 1911, I'm familiar with the platforms, I've shot them quite a bit, still I just don't like changing that up. And so as far as carry guns go, I don't know that this is going to be one that I would switch to. And that's pretty much the long and the short of it. I don't know that this gun is going to find a place in my collection for anything. And that hurts my feelings to no end, because I love Smith and Wessons. I love the idea of this gun. There's so much I do like about it. I love the way it feels in the hand. I like the looks of it. I want to love this gun, but I just don't think it serves any purpose for me whatsoever. And I don't say that from just a practical standpoint. When I say purpose, I mean even a purpose of having fun or enjoying myself. Because when I shoot this gun, I'm not really enjoying myself that much because I'm struggling with it so much. I don't know, it's just there's just something about it. It's just awkward to shoot or something. And that's the long and the short of it. But let's go ahead and shoot a little bit more, just to see if I change my mind. Maybe if I put a few more rounds. Here we're going to see if I can. Oh, that 12 rounder, she did lock in. So the tension that's lessened some on that 12 round magazine may be rectifying that problem. But that 10 rounder, I tried to load it just a minute ago and it still wouldn't. So maybe the 12 rounder's doing better. So, you know, if I were going to carry it or I were going to do something with it, I might not even be using that 10 rounder. I might have to buy another 12 rounder or two, and that's all I would use in this gun. And it does definitely feel better with the 12 rounder in there. So let's just shoot a little bit, and I can just go ahead and tell you I'm not even going to shoot that plate at 80 yards today. There's no need. I did earlier, shot a bunch down there. I hit it one time, but I don't see any reason. It's probably going to be luck if I do hit it, so I'm not even going to bother. Let's just plink up here and see if we can hit anything. There's that false reset. Where am I going? Yeah. Hit. A piece of wood fly. I may have hit that tree root behind there. I don't know. I'm not sure where these are going exactly. Let's try her again. Yeah, I got that one. Got that one. I just had a failure. Look at there. Well, that is a first. It's with the 10 rounder, which is not surprising to me. And what happened was it failed to extract the previous round. And that very well may have something to do with this magazine having so much tension in here as well. And also I'm shooting 124 grain, which is the first 124 grain I put through it. This was actually the first mag of 124, I believe, that I put through it. So that may have something to do with it as well. But the tension of that magazine probably caused the failure there, because that round was pushing up into the previous case, and extractor was not strong enough to pull the case out over that tension, and you get that failure there as a result. See if we can get this clear. There it goes. Oh, as I said, disappointed. I was hoping for more out of this gun. I really was. But let's shoot a little bit more. Let's just keep going. All right, here we go. Same thing again. Failure to extract. That is an issue. Definitely an issue. Well, I hit something out there, but I'm not sure what I'm hitting. Smith and Wesson, you need to rework it. I honestly believe that. I really believe they need to go in and do a little bit to this to make it a little bit better. I think it's got some good qualities. I think it has some promise, but I don't think it's where it needs to be. You know, people have been saying that a lot of these manufacturers are bringing things to market before they have really, you know, done enough testing to know what all the issues are. And you know, the idea is that we get to be the beta testers in the market because they consider that to be cheaper than doing the testing themselves or whatever. I hope that's not the case here. I hope that's not what's happened. But I think there needs to be some improvements made to this gun. And hopefully Smith and Wesson will see some of these reviews and maybe they'll make some changes and do some things to the ones that are coming out. And I don't know. I mean, some guys have not had any issues. They say they love theirs, and that's wonderful. Hopefully, maybe I've just got one that's got some issues, but a lot of the things that I've complained about here that I've noticed are things that other reviewers have noticed as well. So I don't think it's just this sample here that I've got. So let's shoot just a little bit more. I mean, when I'm having trouble hitting a 10-inch plate, you know I'm struggling shooting a gun. Because that's not a small plate. And we just had another. I mean, it didn't even pull the round out of the mag at all. I'm sorry, out of the chamber at all, because the round in the mag is behind it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the round is actually behind it. This is with the 12 round mag that time. So we're having lots of problems with this ammo here. And this is the first time I ran this ammo through it. I don't know anything about this ammo. It's Browning 9mm, 124 grain. It's some I found at Academy, I believe. I've never used it before, so maybe it's not the best indicator. Maybe there's just something with this ammo, but it may just be because it's the 124 grain instead of the 115. This may not like 124 grain. I haven't heard of that being the case, but I don't know. Let me just shoot a little bit more here. See if it keeps happening. Yep, same thing again. The round is actually pushing up into the gun before the round is extracted. Very interesting. I don't know. Let me go get some different 115 grain, or see if I've got some more 124. I don't think I do, and try a little different ammo and see if it keeps happening. It just doesn't like this ammo, maybe. But let's try a different ammo real quick just to see. I've got some Aguila 115 grain. I didn't have any more 124. I didn't think I did. So we'll try this Aguila, see if we get the same thing. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the SIG P365, and I am going to shoot some of this Browning 124 grain in it, just to see if it does the same thing in the 365, just to see if it's just something with the ammo, with those recessed rims on it or something. But I'm going to shoot a mag through the P365 and see if we get the same thing. I'm betting we won't, but because I really think it has something to do with that magazine tension that we have. So I'm going to load up some of this Browning with the 365 here. That's all right. Yeah, that was it. All right, let's try the 365. See if we have any issue with shooting it. Seemed to feed it fine, seemed to shoot it accurately. So I don't think that was, I don't think it's the ammo specifically. It's just the combination of that ammo plus the issues with this gun. They just don't go together. Well, I had another failure. It almost got out this time. We nearly got there. Just not quite. And lost a round too. See if I can get through this mag, and then I'll change you out to the 115. You know what? I'm just going to give up on this mag. Too many problems. Just throw all these back in the box here. And let's try some of this Aguila. Andale, andale, arriba, arriba. Aguila. That made no sense, but I was in a Speedy Gonzales mood. Don't ask me why. I'm just a big kid, I guess. Still love the cartoons, which don't ever come on anymore. Now, I think they come on some of the cable networks now. Every now and then I run across them. I just don't watch much TV anymore to ever see them. But I grew up on Bugs Bunny and all that stuff, and I love it. Still to this day. All right. Let's just shoot a couple of, what in the world? Did I overload the mag? Just pushing the sides out. May overload the mag that time. All right. Let's shoot a couple mags here, and then I guess we're going to call it quits, because I hate to say it, but I think I'm done with this gun. Man, I hate to say it. You guys don't know how much it bothers me to have to say that about Smith and Wesson. Oh, here we go. Let's see if it does the same thing with this ammo. Where am I going? Well, it's feeding the 115, so apparently it just doesn't like that 124 grain. I don't know if it'd do it with all 124 grain, if it's just that one. I don't remember seeing in the manual it's saying use only 115. Maybe I need to check my manual, go back through that. I'm sure somebody will tell me if it was in there, but I'd be really surprised for somebody to make a gun these days you can't shoot 124 in. But if that's the case, I'm going to be very disappointed with Smith and Wesson for making that decision. All right, guys, I'm going to pause the video right there just to take the time to explain what I'm talking about here with regard to the 115 versus the 124 grain projectiles. Why I believe that they may be causing a problem in the CSX, because I didn't really spell it out in the video while I was shooting and filming. So I thought I would take the time now to explain that a little bit. I do not believe that the problem is actually the weight of the projectiles. What it is the length of the cartridge overall. When you go up in weight on a projectile for the same caliber, often what you get is a longer projectile. And the only option you have is to either load the cartridge longer or to push the projectile further down in the case. But if you push the projectile further down in the case, you end up with problems with too much pressure being generated in the chamber as a result. And so usually what ends up happening is you get a longer cartridge length with a heavier projectile in the same caliber. And so what you find is that this 124 grain projectile, this 124 grain ammunition, this Browning ammunition, has a longer overall length than that 115 grain Aguila. And as a result of it being longer, it is pushing up further into the action of the gun. Remember, this gun already is hard to push the mag in all the way when the slide is closed, which means it's pushing the round up into the bottom of that slide, up into the action of the gun. And that's why it's so hard to push in. And so when you make the cartridge even longer, you're getting it pushed even more into the action of the gun. And that is really what is causing the problem, I believe, here. Plus, you add into that the fact that the magazines have a lot of spring tension, which means that it's going to be very hard for the extractor to pull that case over the top of that round and push it down in the process because the springs are so strong. And so the fact that the magazine, the design of the gun, and the mag well and the length of the grip doesn't give you a lot of space is what's causing the problem with the 124 grain projectiles. Because if you look at the mags loaded side by side, you can tell the difference in the length. You can tell that it's sticking up higher because there's a cant, right? There's an angle to the way the bullets sit at the top of the mag, where they're angled up. And obviously a longer cartridge is going to be higher up when it's angled like that. So that is what I believe is causing the problem here in the CSX with the 124 grain Browning ammunition. Now, there may be 124 grain ammunition that's not quite as long as that. It may have a different contour to the bullet. It may, be a little bit different in the way the projectile is rounded in the front to alleviate some of that length possibly. So it's not necessarily going to be every brand of 124 grain that might cause that problem. It may just be this particular ammunition, and it may not be a problem that occurs with every single CSX. There may be enough variation, from one gun to the next that it may not be a problem with every single gun they manufacture, only some of them, but it's definitely a problem with the one that I have. So I just thought I would take the time to explain that. So let's get back to the video. In the world. Well, as you guys know, I can't end on a miss. So I'm going to shoot one round on this cowboy and hopefully hit him. The video is complete. Guys, I appreciate you coming out. God bless you. I wish I had better news about the CSX. I hope if you've got one, it's doing better for you, but I'm afraid it's just not the gun for me. So I appreciate you coming out. God bless you. Y'all take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.